Hi guys, and welcome to my video project on the accessibility of hip hop and rap music. I'm making this today for college, but you might be seeing it elsewhere as well. So for today's video, I'm gonna kind of cover my journey with music and tying it to the question or kind of topic of hip hop and its accessibility. So it's semi-autobiographical, and then we'll be talking about other things as well. So we'll be talking about music, kind of my influences, some ASD things as well, so that's autism spectrum disorder, and that kind of connection to rap music. So I hope you enjoy. So the first part of my rap journey is quite interesting because it actually goes back to the age of me being about 7 or 8 years old and playing a lot of video games with a friend of mine at the time. And one of the games that I used to play was called Saints Row 2. Now, it's not a game kids should be playing, but it's a game this kid played, and it was very enjoyable. One of the things about Saints Row 2, if you know the game, is it has a phenomenal soundtrack. It's a bit like GTA, the game, and so you can drive around cars, steal them, shoot people, you pretend to be a gangster, you do all these things. And when you're driving around in the car, you can turn on the radio station. So that's kind of where my connection to hip-hop kind of first began when I was 7 or 8 years old. Because I was playing this video game about being a gangster and shooting people, and you know, the real gangster in me, I suppose, woke up as I was playing it, and I was like, yo, the music in this is actually really good. So like some highlights of the Saints Row soundtrack as an example is artists like 50 Cent, Nas, Deftones, My Chemical Romance, Panic at the Disco. So everything hip hop, rock, with loads of 80s stuff, Tears for Fears, everything. It's really good. There's some reggae and stuff in there as well. And I remember we used to get sweets while we'd play this and pretend to be gangsters, you know, around our neighborhood. And we'd be playing on the PlayStation 3. So on the PlayStation 3, you can actually play music through the games console. And yeah, we used to always put on either the radio stations in the game, such as K-Rhyme 95.4, which has your Nas and your 50 Cent, or we'd put on our own songs that we had on the PlayStation, which you could play while you're playing the game, which was really cool. So our go-to for that was 50 Cent's Get Rich or Die Trying, which, oh dude, if you've ever heard of that album, brother, it's his big one. It's his one of all the hits. It's hit after hit after hit. And yeah, that was kind of what first opened my ears to hip hop and rap as music. And those were good times, good memories. So I was about the age of 7 to 8 to 9. So during this period, I was going to school in a place called Ennis Diamond, which ran as a Steiner school, or Waldorf school, if anyone knows what that is. It's essentially like a more holistic approach to education as opposed to a mainstream school. It's a bit different. So you'll kind of do 2 hours of one subject in the morning and so on. But this was a much more open school environment that I really enjoyed, and kind of began to form more aspects of myself and personality. So how does this connect to rap music and hip hop? Well, the reason why it connects is because this is where I was from, it's my place and my authenticity. And it's also where my voice as someone who writes kind of began to form as a thing. During this time, I also began to learn to play guitar, and I actually attended a kind of rap writing workshop with a local musician called John, the DJ. Now, John's actually pretty well known and successful. He's worked with people like Snoop Dogg, which is crazy, but when you live in Ireland, you know, stuff like that happens. So this was a writing program I would have done around the age of 9 or 10. It was free, or close to free, because it was run by Music Generation, which is like a charity organisation in Ireland, kind of funded by U2 and the government, oddly enough. And that does all sorts of music-related programs for young people. So this was a part of what I was working on. In making this video as well, I've researched about John kind of in hindsight, and I've listened to some podcasts, and he actually talks about wanting to educate people who are from kind of more marginalized backgrounds, so might have faced economic difficulties and other things such as being a part of the traveler community and so on. And that actually got me to think and kind of relate more to, I suppose, his mission and journey, and be grateful, because music accessibility has always been something that's been a challenge in my life, for financial reasons and other. I was never really able to get lessons, other than I got a few at Music Generation, and then later on in life as things changed I did get some lessons later on, but for the most part learning music has been my own journey, whether it's playing guitar, as you can see, or writing. And part of what gave me the confidence to write, because you might know I'm not a great singer, is rap. And the fact that if you think about the infrastructure that's needed for rap music, you need a microphone, maybe. So often you don't. You can do it a cappella, actually. And you need to be able to, write. You don't need to be able to sing. You don't need to be able to play an instrument. So the kind of years of entry that it takes in other musical forms of expression are not found directly in rap if you're just beginning vocally. That's not to say there are different levels of importance or anything, because I think that's totally the wrong lens. You'll get some band people who are like, "Whoa, band music's the best." It's ridiculous. Music is music. It's about expression, and to kind of miss that point I find quite funny, because a lot of these people are like, "Oh, rock music's the only music," and then they listen to punk and they're like, "Well, yeah, but it's fine if they do it that way." You know, punk music being low barrier to entry, because that's that thing. And people do it with folk music and their own local traditions. They have the same thing. And it's a complete ridiculous argument. But this also highlights the strength of rap and hip-hop music, which is its accessibility and its power to democratize the music landscape, because anyone pretty much can take part in this, which is not the same for other forms of music, whether it's rock, Irish traditional, folk, bluegrass. A lot of that requires an instrument or being able to sing, to work in a certain type of musical infrastructure. The final point I want to talk about is one of the first things I would have written, which was when I was attending Mullinoiga school. We had to go do a thing called like the Greek Olympics, which is like a sports event where a lot of other schools went to it as well. And it was a mock Olympics, So doing egg and spoon race, classic Olympic game, or javelin, discus, all of these things. And for this as well, each school had to do its a performance, and this was around 5th class, so that would be 6th grade in America. And for this, I actually composed my first kind of piece of music. I wrote a rap which is about Athens and Sparta in like a kind of a diss track format, which reminds me very much of YouTube videos that you see with YouTubers with their diss track format, or if anyone knows this, epic rap battles everything, which in English is epic rap battles of history, which would have been something I would have seen at the time. So I was aware of the format, and that was one of the first things I wrote. And while I don't have the writing of that now, I do remember that this was what my school actually ended up performing, my class. And there's lyrics like, we are rough, we are tough, kiss Athens goodbye because you are gonna die, type thing, because it was Athens versus Sparta. So yeah, that was kind of my introduction to having my musical world exist and be valued. Another thing that's also very important that I wanted to mention before I go on to the next section of this video is when it comes to music education, particularly for younger people, a big aspect of that is the context they're in. And a big aspect of a young person's life is their parental situation. Whether it's, adopted, not adopted, single mother, normal or not normal. There's no such thing as normal. Household with 2 parents, that kind of thing. Regardless of that situation, it's actually been statistically proving that the leader of most good outcomes for children within their mental health is a good kind of relationship with their parents. And the reason why I mention this is because if you're taking part in a creative field, whether it's art, music, acting, people often don't realize the amount of context that goes into someone being able to follow these things or not. And often a big part of that is a parent or parents. whether it's their support or their lack of it, that sometimes motivates people in these ways and allows them the accessibility to achieve these things. That's also one thing about Music Generation which I really like, which is that they provide a safe space for people to follow music that's also not directly in front of their parents or that kind of thing as well, because there's always complexities in that type of relationship. Another example of this would be the many youth services that are run in Ireland and kind of youth programs, which again, it's a safe place with supervision, but outside of the realm of parents as well, which I think is a really important thing for any music. So I wanted to mention that because I felt it was very important. It's also statistically backed, bro. So, I'm back. You may notice another outfit change. There's a reason behind that. And that's because this outfit change follows the story that I'm telling, which is we were just talking about Mollinoiga and my school journey. So that's my primary school, my middle school. Well, around 5th to 6th class, so this would be about age 10, 11, my kind of passion of music began to really become alive, and so did my expression of how I dress and talk about these things. So all kind of part of pre-adolescence really was all forming at this time. And the reason why I'm wearing the clothes I am is because this would have been the hat that I used to wear when I would write my raps, and I used to actually freestyle on the yard when we'd play in primary school and so on. And this is a jumper actually from my primary school, which you can see here, which I still have, which is incredible. You can see how old I am with the date on this. But yeah, here's the back of all the names. The reason why I bring this, I might show some photos as well. The reason why I do this again is because a large part of rap and hip hop is showing where you're from, kind of your roots, that connection to this is us, this is our voice, this is who we are. It's authenticity. So that's why I'm showing this off, is because to me this is who I am. I want to share this with other people. So if anyone knows me here, you might know that I am a bit of an iPad kid, with all the bad connotations that has. Because as I was going to Mollinoiga, I was again developing my musical identity. And what I liked listening to at the time was Nirvana, Radiohead, Muse, or all rock bands, you know. But as well, as mentioned before, 50 Cent, and another huge one at the time, which my mother actually showed me this, was the standard issue rap artist being Eminem. So I used to listen to Curtain Call, the compilation kind of album, on my iPad because I had to download it on the bus every day to school in middle school, and it was lots of fun. Wildly inappropriate, but lots of fun. And I remember, like, I would just freestyle in my head thinking about, you know, words that rhyme, and one trick that I was taught was using the alphabet. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Think of a word like food and then run through the alphabet to see what else rhymes with it. So food, A, B, Q and a word, food and a word, dude is a word, right? So food, dude, now you might say that's not a direct rhyme, it's a half rhyme, whatever, but you get my point. So because of how I am and who I am, I just sit around all day thinking of words that connected and intersected, and I realized my mind had been interjected with this capacity to, you know, change these things together. So yeah, it's just something I really enjoyed. Around this time as well, I also became aware of the Irish kind of rap duo, who's actually a trio because they have a DJ, called the Rubber Bandits. Now they're known for their song Horse Outside, but they have their album called Serious About Men, where they have their own rap music and so on. And the cool thing about that is there wasn't a lot of rap music in Ireland, you know, kind of around the 2000s, 2008, 10 and so on. Nowadays we have Kneecap and so on, excuse me. But yeah, it was really, really cool to see that and to be able to listen to that. And also, just a big bleed over was having the likes of like Tupac and so on be big in like my friend circle, and I kind of was aware of that type of stuff, and I would go out of my way as well to kind of watch Netflix documentaries in relation to Tupac, Biggie, the foundations of hip hop and so on, which was really good. Being from the west of Ireland as well, there was a lot of overlap with kind of like the west side type stuff, which I know you might say there's no connection to, you know, the African American community and the racial challenges they faced, and that's entirely true in Ireland for the most part. Me, within my context, I cannot directly relate to that, but what I can relate to is kind of the themes of a lot of the music, which is, you know, themes of struggle and oppression and of systematic issues, which I think is universal in music. Blind Boy actually often says, who's a member of the Rubber Bandits, that when he thinks of gangster rap, he sees a lot of association with Irish rebel songs, or kind of the performative aggression of metal music, which is something I've discussed in an essay before, which if you're the person for college seeing this, you'll be aware of, and if you're not, you gotta trust me, bro. You gotta trust. So this is again, as I was saying, big overlap with the kind of West Side rap thing and Tupac, and so much so that this actually manifested at this time with me drawing a very funny picture of Tupac Shakur and the then president of Ireland, Michael de Higgins, which I'll put on screen because I love it. So yeah, next up is the secondary school years, where my musical identity and just growing up continues to happen. So, the secondary school years. You might notice another subtle costume change. This was the hat I used to wear in secondary school all the time. And it's because I used to suffer a lot from pain in my eyes and headaches because of the lights. Turns out this was because I actually have ASD, autism spectrum disorder, a lot of sensitivity to lights, loud noises, and that kind of thing, which has always been a big part of my life, but wasn't something that would be medically recognized until my early 20s, which I'm currently in. But that's why I'm wearing this hat. So my identity around this time was kind of becoming much more formed. I was regularly writing music. I was madly in love with rock music, but still as well writing rap music at the time. I would have got this guitar around the time of secondary school. So this is around first to third year that I'm talking about. So around the age of 12 to 15, 14. This was a time where I went to school in a rural school in Ireland in a place called Lisdoonvarna, where there wasn't very many people. So around the time of secondary school as well, I was listening to a lot of the Blind Boy podcast, who's a member of the Rubber Bandits, which I was discussing earlier. And he would have been a big inspiration and still is in a lot of aspects of my life, but particularly in my creative approach, which can actually be seen in my copies and notebooks where I would have been doodling when I should have been doing my work. Which I'm going to try and find an example here. Here we go. So I remember listening to his podcasts in the morning and stuff, and reading his book and all this stuff. Big fan, and taking direct inspiration by following creative ideas on how to write. Examples of which being, he actually referenced David Bowie talking about this, Blind Boy, which is writing things and cutting it up and rearranging it in a kind of collage aspect when writing, or taking inspiration from things you see in your environment, which can be seen here in this these doodles that I've made, because I'm pretty sure some of these here not only have like kind of nonsense poetry, but they reference I remember one time they like referencing a box that I saw in front of me, and it's like, you know, read label, burn instructions, that type of thing, which I put into these doodles here. Another kind of piece I have from my writing journey is this notebook here, which I had a bookmark, but it just fell out, which has one of my old songs in it. So this would have been a song which is heavily inspired by the group Rage Against the Machine, who do rap and rock music. So the song was called Lexicon. There's a guitar part to go with it written on this, but I won't show you that. And I wrote this on the 18th of the 11th, 2019. Now I won't perform the whole song or anything, but I'll just do a few lyrics. Teacher, 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 please teach us your lexicon. Clap your hands and form a pentagon. Remember the past heroes will only remember one. Teacher, 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 please. I'm on both my knees. Hand over the keys or we'll seize power. The clock is ticking and this is your final hour. You can say parabellum, but we'll achieve peace. My life is not something of which you can lease to pay off your own debts. Now the syllable count there is all over the place, but it shows you that I was writing. Also, the Latin used parabellum is incorrect. But again, who cares? It's writing. Have some fun. Express yourself. So this was all part of the secondary school kind of period. Another thing that happened in the secondary school period would have been around the age of 14, which is where I did my first ever live musical performance, which I was doing a deep dive trying to find out about this online. I was Googling all sorts of things. I was Googling school websites to find pictures, and I've actually Googled a lot in relation to my middle school as well, which you might have seen photos from that in the earlier section. And to my surprise, I actually found a photo from the concert that I did all those years ago, which I was amazed to see, and I'll show that on screen. And you can see another photo here, which is the many people that were there. It's blurred out obviously to keep people's anonymity, anonymous. Boom. But yeah, that was my first ever musical performance, which was a rap. It was Macklemore's song Wings, but we cut out the choruses. And yeah, it was just, I was really happy with that. It went well. People came up to me and were like, "Do you know what? For a rap thing, that was actually not cringe." Which is a massive compliment when you're a guy like me, you know. It went really well. I was really happy with it. Another thing I want to mention in the secondary school period is the kind of ASD link. So as I outlined before, I was, going through raps and rhymes in my head using the alphabet technique. But as well, I've now realized in hindsight that this is all pattern recognition, right? Because part of the diagnosis of autism is pattern recognition. And I have a hypothesis, and I haven't been able to find research papers in relation to this yet. But I would imagine that people who are on the spectrum might have a certain leaning towards writing rap music, or just liking the genre, perhaps more than the general public. This is a hypothesis. There's no foundation on this yet, but it's because of the pattern recognition element within the music. ASD populations are already known to have sensitive ears, sensitive hearts, sensitive souls, and a lot of association and strengths in musical areas already. Welcome to the final section of the video, which is kind of going to be a conclusion. My current me, now my relationship to rap music, and then things going forward in the future. So, just to reiterate what we've already covered, the reason why I'm doing this video is to show hip-hop and rap's ability to be accessible, and I hope I've outlined that well. I first kind of covered how I got exposed to the music around 7, 8, 9 years old, where I was consciously aware of it and engaging in it, because I would have heard rap music at the age of 4 on the radio, but this is where I was like, oh, this is a thing I enjoy. Then kind of following that, I went to my middle school, primary school years and explained formation of my identity and how I composed a piece of music here, which I didn't actually end up performing, but my class did, oddly enough. So and all the aspects in relation to that, from the West Side stuff, and all the social elements. Then I was talking about the kind of secondary school period and my first musical performance. Connections between rap music and ASD. I might have linked some studies in that, in relation to that, and kind of other elements. I also saw some examples of my own material and so on, and how I was influenced by bands like Rage Against the Machine to write about issues that I cared about, which was like, oh, school sucks, which I didn't mention that before, but school sucks. So yeah. Now, today, currently, I unfortunately don't listen to as much rap music as I used to. I don't write as much rap music as I used to. I'm mostly playing the guitar and kind of doing band stuff, or kind of doing my own thing as well. Much more my own thing. I'm not in a band at the moment. A bit optimistic there. However, I still write, and kind of doing this project has been a way to reflect on my musical journey in relation to rap music, related to the college module that I'm doing, called Hip Hop and Post-Colonial Studies, essentially. And it's been great to kind of just cause a bit of reflection on myself and my own journey, and then seeing all the historical elements actually that relate to rap music and its place within Irish culture, as outlined in my essay on the Rubber Bandits song Up the Ra, where they were talking about Irish history, but they're doing it all backwards and sideways and reverse. But just also seeing lots of links as well, with my own cultural journey and so on, and my place within music, hip hop, and drawing it back to that kind of key idea of authenticity in place, which reminds me of some of the stuff that we covered in that college module, which was talking about the Irish rapper
Denise Chala,
couldn't remember the name, who wrote this song on Shaw, which means here in Irish, as far as I'm aware. My Oscuelga is not great. So yeah, in terms of the future, again, this module has made me think of rap music a lot more, and my relationship to music kind of a lot more in hindsight, and kind of looking forward now. I think I want to start playing with those elements of rap as a technique again within my music, because I've been trying to learn how to sing, but it's like I still freestyle in my head. Often I'll go for a run and I'm thinking of words that connect and rhyme as a way to pass the time when I'm running all sweaty, covered in slime. That stuff was bad. Criminal. It was a crime. But yeah, like you can tell I still do it, and it's something I enjoy, and I'll do when I'm around friends just to mess with them. I'll often get very flirtatious when I freestyle, so be warned. But yeah, I'm thinking I want to bring it back into my music. So this has been my video project on hip hop and its accessibility, and specifically how it's kind of intersected with my journey in relation to it, and how it allowed me to access music, and how it has the ability and strength to allow accessibility for other people. That's because of the lower barrier of entry. You don't have to spend years playing music, learning an instrument. You don't have to have the confidence to sing, which is a very vulnerable thing. You just have to be able to speak words. And there's also an equipment thing where there's a big difference between having a band or an instrument. A band's 5 people, you're gonna have your drum kit, you're gonna have your keyboard player, your guitarist, your bassist, whatever, your vocalist. With a rapper, you just need yourself, So that's one element I really like, is the accessibility, simply because of the logistical reasons in relation to hip hop and music. I think it's a great tool for allowing anyone to be able to access music, and that's where its power really comes from. And it's also why you get a lot of association with rap music and social causes, and standing up for things. It's because of that power that it gives. Is not only are you able to be way more dense in it lyrically than other genres where you're singing and you're repeating the chorus again and again. You might do that in rap music, but verse for verse, you can definitely fit a lot more words in, as songs like Rap God or something are a great example of, just off the top of my head. So yeah, this has been my project on rap music and its accessibility. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope it wasn't too much waffle. And yeah, au revoir.